Let's continue exploring our relationship with food. Food is not simply a physical activity that we have to thank Hashem for, but the process of eating is something inherently spiritual. Pasuk in Mishlei says, "Tzadik ochel lasova nafsho." A tzaddik eats to the satisfaction of his soul. That means that the process of eating is really a process that's not simply going to bring physical sustenance, but will enhance a person's spirituality and make a person a more spiritual person. How does it happen? When we interact with food, we're interacting with a miraculous process. The Gemara says, "Kosher mizonosim shel Yisrael or shel Adam kikriyas yamsuf," that the process of providing food to a person is as difficult as kriyas yamsuf. Obviously, the question comes out, how can we see anything as difficult as kriyas yamsuf? Nothing is difficult to Hashem. The explanation is that just as kriyas yamsuf was a miracle, in fact, a series of miracles, if you remember that part in the Haggadah, which you run through quickly because you're starving and you want to get to the meal, that keeps going on, how many miracles happened at Yam Suf, and it gets up to about 250 or more. So when you approach food, there's so many miraculous things that happen for the food to get to the table. And people tend to take it for granted, especially now that we're very divorced from the world of farming and so many Jews are not involved in agriculture. We don't realize how miraculous it is. It's not a simple thing to put a seed in the ground and think that your food comes up easily. So many factors have to come into play. Everything has to work in the right time in order for that food to come out successfully. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not like to do nisim. Nisim are a breaking of the Seder that he set. But he causes this to happen miraculously in order for us to grow in our relationship with him. Emunah, there's a pasuk that refers to the Shisha Sidrei Mishnah with different words, and Emunah refers to Seder Zeraim. Why? Because a farmer is Mamin B'chayho Lamim V'Zoreah. He believes in the one who gives life to the world, and he plants. When he puts that seed in the soil, he knows that only the one who gives life to the world will be able to bring about that seed is going to successfully come to its fruition. So when we look at the process of our getting food, in fact all the creatures of the world getting food, we're seeing something very miraculous happen. There's a parak of Tillim called Halil Hagadol, the one we say Shabbos and Psuke de Zimra, Hodel Hashem Kitov Ki Lo Olam Chasto, Hodel Elokei Elokim Ki Lo Olam Chasto. The last verse of that, the pinnacle of the sea, says, Nosein lechem l'chol basar ki lo olam chasto. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives bread, gives sustenance to all flesh, to all creations. If a person looks a little bit at what happens in nature, how each thing has its own specific food. Koala bears only eat the leaves of the eucalyptus tree. Certain birds only eat the bugs from the ears of other animals. There are wondrous, amazing things happening always in this world of food and sustenance, and we're supposed to be paying attention to it, examining it, and appreciating it. When a person sees it and senses it that way, he'll realize also that something very special is happening. Let's look at the lowest common denominator of what happens when we eat. When we eat, what's happening is that you are joining soul and body together. How do you know? Simple experiment. Stop eating, your body goes one way, your soul goes another way. That tremendous merger, which the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch says we refer to in the words umafli lasos and asher yotzar, that amazing merger of body and soul into one happens through eating. And in fact, the soul is sustained by eating, not just the body. The Chos of Lublin once explained this to a person who thought he would become very holy by eating very little. And he said, and it had negative spiritual effects on him. So the Chos asked him, he says, do you believe that eating food that's not kosher has negative spiritual impact? He said, of course. He said, then you have to believe the other side of the equation, that kosher food has a positive spiritual impact. It nourishes your soul. And the very way we treat our food and prepare our food and make brachas on food bring nourishment and sustenance to the soul, and that's what we're doing. That's why we treat eating as a holy experience, as something that's to be treated with respect, that's to be done respectfully, with brachas before, with brachas after, with a sense of awareness, and that takes it to the next level as opposed to the regular eating that's done around us all days.